There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take it!
What's going on, EoP sports fans? It's Wednesday night. It's 8:30. It's time for EoP. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Sheeran.
And you can't see him, but he's on here learning. He's learning the rig with me today. Mike Laro from PM in the AM. He's off to the side. I'm sure we'll hear him chime in at one point. But the Fighting Phils are on right now. They're up 6-4 in Tampa against Tampa. So mute the TV and put us on the tablet or the phone and join along and talk Phillies with us. We'll keep you up to date as well. And we're talking about 4 for 4 and more. We got a special guest tonight. DJ Wood from Ring Rust Radio, and also a huge Flyers fan. So we're going to be talking to him about the Flyers, future Flyer plans, and of course a little bit of wrestling in Philly coming up in the not too distant future. But guys, let's talk about your Fighting Phils. Joe, we were literally just talking about this off air, so we might as well just pick up right where we left off from. You dropped 2-3 to the terrible Washington Nationals, your division rivals, who are just hot garbage on a sunny day. And then you win your first game against the hottest team in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And right now you're up 2 runs on them in the top of the 7th with your very strong bullpen. Is this like what we grew up with? Because I feel like this kind of broke a little bit, where the Phillies used to play up and down to their competition.
Yeah. I think that's something we always kind of, head back to is we say that the Phillies play worse against inferior teams and better against superior teams, i.e. Arizona Diamondbacks in Arizona taking 3 of 4. The latest Dodgers series where they won that 2 of 3. And I understand the Braves, but normally, like last season, we played very well against the Braves, even though we were struggling a majority of the season. Finally got in that third wild card spot, and we saw history be made. But yes, I think absolutely it all comes back to that. The Nationals game, I was actually at the game on Sunday, which ended 5-4. The 2 home runs, 3-0 in the first. I mean, it looked like they were about to cruise. And it just was one of those games. You kind of, like, Rangers been pitching so well. You just know he's going to have a clunker of the game. And unfortunately, that was the game I was at on Sunday.
Yeah, Joe, you're a mush, dude. I got to point that out. I'm so glad you and your son had a good time, but God, please stop going to games. For the love of God.
And what's funny is the game.
Did you bet on it?
I didn't bet on it. But the funny thing is the game I was at before that was the rain out. So it's something that always happens. And it almost looked like tonight that was the type of game you're going to get from Taijuan Walker. And I understand he didn't do the best, but, he started to come back strong in the past 2 or 3 innings. Phillies have the lead at the moment. These guys have just been pitching so good that that there was going to be the shoe to drop in one of the games. Sure. They're going to put up a clunker. And then it's when it comes to our other pitching, Aaron Nola yesterday on 4th of July, I mean, he's the one that we've been kind of iffy about, whether it's a clunker. We don't know the pitcher we're getting each game. Exactly. We got 12 strikeouts, and he really. I mean, Trey Turner had that error at shortstop, and what did Aaron Nola do? He stayed calm, cool, and collected, and he got out of what could have been a real bad inning for him. Of course, he gives up the one home run. That is just expected at this point. Mm-hmm. But here we are, Tampa Bay, and the Phillies. They win pretty well yesterday. And Zach Eflin has been playing great. I read some fun facts about, him yesterday. Of course, there was the quote that we posted about how he was with the Phillies, still has a strong relationship with a lot of players from the Phillies. So basically, he still roots for the Phillies. And I got to say, that's because it's National League and he's in the American. But what I also found out was Aaron Nola and Zach Eflin are like best friends.
Yeah.
In the offseason, Aaron Nola bought a house down in Florida. And this was before Eflin signed his deal with the Rays. And Eflin bought a house 10 minutes away from him, thinking, probably, if not, at least neighbors, if not teammates. So, I mean, these guys have been, really have had a tight knit like relationship, especially with the Phillies, and now with
They did
separate
the old
teams.
jersey swap.
Oh yeah, of course, and yeah, it was. I think it's very cool that those two got to square off yesterday, and it went in our favor.
Even cooler.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, and who do we have next? Who's after
The Marlins.
That's right. Okay, so
Big important series.
two big series right now. If they can get out with this win tonight and they take the series, hopefully they go for the sweep and get it. But if not, all hands on deck against the Marlins, because as of right now, we're staring up at the Marlins, who have that top wild card spot. We're 3.5 behind them in that third wild card spot. So, within the next week and a half, it could really show us what the rest of the season could look like.
Mike Laura just pointed out, they put it on the screen. It's the longest road winning streak since 1976, and could get
no, 1947.
I just said 76 on this.
Oh.
That's what the Phillies thing said. But the longest streak is 13 games, and if they do hold on tonight, tomorrow could be tying that record. In
47 years. Okay, yeah.
47 years.
Yeah, we posted it 10 hours ago.
Yes. No, I mean, that's my point. Like, this is the team is interesting. Like, you look at it, there's definitely points in this season where you want to scratch your head. Yeah. But there's other points in the season where they played some of the best baseball in years. I mean, it started off with Bryson Stott breaking Puddinhead Jones's record earlier in the season.
Sure.
Just different things like that makes baseball.
Right. And then, on Saturday, they have the big offensive game, put up 19 runs. They win 19-4. And then on Sunday, they have the big first inning, and then they can't get anything. They can't get another run until the 8th inning, where they really lost an opportunity. And like we know, they lost 5-4. So, I mean, there's going to be games where they put up 19 runs. There's going to be games where they put up 1. I mean, it's just, there's no rhyme or reason behind baseball. It's just what you're getting on each day. 8-4, baby.
Yep. 2-run single by Brandon Marsh, for those who are paying attention. But I mean, that's the thing that makes, like I said, I think makes baseball so interesting. And that's all, me, I've been always a baseball guy for how long we've known each other. And it's just like, it's the checkers chess movement on the board, like where things can move up and down. I mean, football is the same thing, but it's, you got 17 games
to
make mistakes. This when you have,
one of the biggest damn things that really stinks about this season is that they played, just under 500 baseball until June. Mm-hmm. Because if they would have gotten off to even, even if they just would have won half of those games that they lost, mm-hmm. I mean, they'd be right there in top contention with the Braves. But we're 12.5 back from the Braves. I mean, it's a very big long shot that we even get close to winning this division, especially with only 2 more series left in the season against those Braves, and not even till September.
And that's the thing, is like every time the Braves did drop a game or two, we ended up doing the same. Like,
absolutely.
We couldn't. I mean, we win 7 of.
We won 13 of 15, and so did they.
Yeah. Every time you look at the standings in the last 10 games, they're 7-3, but the Braves are 8-2 or 9-1. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's the kicker. Like, of all the movement we did in June, everybody who's fighting for spots around us did close to the same thing.
Right.
Just goes to show you how important all this stuff is, and how you need to keep your foot in the pedal and not worry about it. Like, you just need to keep going forward. Like, fine, you won't win the division, and I still think it's very possible, but you need the Braves to go on like a 5-game losing streak, maybe, or like drop 7 of 10, and you have to be able to win 5 of those at that time or something, where you can gain a little ground and put a little pressure on them. But they would really need either one big losing streak or multiple mini losing streaks to make that even plausible.
And even to put something into a little bit of perspective, is we're saying the Braves are, that much ahead of us in the division and how well they're playing. They're 9-1 in their last 10. And here we are against the MLB's hottest team in the Rays, and we're playing up to level with them. It's just, exactly coming back to your original question. What do we do against the superior teams? We play up to them. Inferior, we play down to them, i.e. Nationals, i.e. what's happening right now in this very game.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But I want to remind you guys, there's a lot of good baseball coming up. The All-Star break's coming up. The Phillies will be returning home, and you're like, all right, I need to get out to a game. I really need to get there. Anyway, Joe, I know where you go because I go to the same place.
I go to SherryTickets.com.
Sherry'sTickets.com, family owned and operated since 1946. I like knowing that when I go and I go, I'm going there. I want to go to this game. I see the ticket price because I got 4 kids. You got kids. We want to go to the game. I don't want to go at the end. I'm like, all right, guys, we can go to this game. That's fine. And then never mind, we can't go because Dad got slapped with an extra $200 fee. You're not going to get that at Sherry'sTickets.com. The price you see, the price you're going to pay. That's for sports, concerts, theaters, you name it. And use that promo code. I use it all the time. EoP10 promo code to get 10% off all Sherry's ticket items. So go to Sherry'sTickets.com. In about 3 minutes, we'll be joined by DJ Wood from Ring Rust Radio, talking Flyers, though.
I've heard of that guy.
Heard of him once or twice in my life. And we'll be talking a lot of Flyers because the Flyers, it's. I think Mike is sitting next to me. When I was on his show, I said, when a team is talked about the most is 2 times. Either when they're really good or they're really bad.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems to be that way. But because when you're really bad, but you're going through a rebuild right now, it gives you hope for the future. Because that's right now, as a Flyers fan, you will have. We'll talk about that in a few moments when DJ joins us. But staying on the Phillies topics, I mean, again, going into the season, you're talking bats. Oh, Nick Castellanos is going to have a better year. We got Trey Turner. Look at him in the World Baseball Classic. But it's been the pitching that's been carrying us for the. I mean, listen, there's been some games where the bats went off, and they're holding their own against a really good pitching staff in the Tampa Bay Rays. Like they we talk about bullpen games. Tampa Bay Rays made it popular in Major League Baseball, and they actually don't even care. They like them. Like they're happy with them. I do worry. I mean, we saw a couple. You saw the Rangers Suarez last game was not Rangers, but again, that should have been a game the bats got us out of.
Yeah,
I mean, he didn't have a great game, but they could have got out of that.
Well, I mean, it's comparable to what Taijuan Walker is doing right now. Yes, they have the lead of 8-4, but the first 3 innings, the ball was being peppered all over the field. Yeah. I mean, they put up 2 runs in the first inning. I mean, that's what I mean. Like they're not playing awful, but they're playing bad enough to put them in a situation to where they very possibly could lose.
Yeah. And the bats are making it right. And if it wasn't 8-4 right now, Rob Thompson's not keeping Taijuan Walker into the bottom.
Probably not. I will say this: Taijuan Walker in June, much like the rest of the Phillies, have really turned their performance around. He's 5-0 in June. Mm-hmm. Now here we are entering July, and you just kind of keep your fingers crossed that these guys can continue what they've been up to for the past 30 days.
And it's good to know that even if they're not the June Phillies, but not too far underneath, they're still going to be a damn good team.
Absolutely.
And
I can't believe that it's only a June baseball team. Like there's no way that they got hot in June, and now that the calendar page flips, that things are just going to turn back on their head. I just can't believe that.
I think June is just the momentum shifter, whatever it is you want to call it.
Weather,
for whatever reason it is. Is it the warm weather?
I mean, the ball carries a little bit better.
Older players take a little longer to get their engines going. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that actually makes a lot of sense because right from the get-go, Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, some of these younger guys, Cody Clemens, these guys have all been playing very, very well. It did take all the veterans a month and a half, 2 months to get started.
Yeah, no, they did, and up Cody Clemens, who got knocked.
I don't like that move.
We're going to talk about in a little bit when we get back. On the line with us, we talked earlier, is DJ Wood from Ring Rust Radio. DJ, what's going on, buddy?
How you doing, man? Excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. Guys, actually, I want to point something out. I was just thinking about this earlier today. Joe and I have been doing EoP now, 5 years?
Yeah.
5 years. And one of our first guests was DJ Wood from Ring Rust Radio.
Absolutely.
So, DJ, I'm sorry it took this long for you to come back around. I mean, I know Joe smells, but it's okay. You can come back around anytime you want.
With the Flyers starting the process and WrestleMania coming to Philadelphia, you're not going to get rid of me. I'm here forever.
All right, that's very good news to hear. So, speaking of the
Flyers, hold on, real quick. I mean, I want to give first off. This is my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's literally family to me.
No,
I want to throw out a little bit more. I mean, he's a writer for Bleacher Report, writer for Forbes. He is the owner and creator of Ring Rust Radio. I mean, this guy is putting pen to paper and making some moves. Buddy, you got anything else coming up other than Bleacher Report and Forbes?
Well, actually, I got accepted to work for the Inquirer again. Like I said, I worked for the Inquirer to start my writing career, and now that the Flyers are doing the process like the Sixers, where I figured now it'd be great. Nobody else wants to talk about the Flyers, so it'd be a great time to get in low, buy low, and sell high. So I'll sell once when it comes in 28.
There you go.
Sounds like a plan.
That sounds like a good plan. But yeah, like I said, other than that, you're not doing anything with your free time. But you're right. We've talked about this. Joe and I have had this conversation now. Like, it's fun to be able to talk about the Flyers again, because anytime we do a post game show here at EoP, the Clear the Ice one, we did this one, post the draft, but we did one after every game, and it was like chewing glass for a while. Like, it was painful. I didn't want to do it. I'm watching this game begrudgingly because I'm like, I don't see any of these guys as our future.
There's only so much S talking you can do.
Yeah, and you don't want to go on. I want to go on the air, and I want to bring energy. It's hard to bring energy when it's zapped out of me. But with everything you said, like I know it's so hard in the NHL, especially in the draft, to really say, how do you feel? How do you grade the Flyers draft? But how do you, DJ Wood, feel about the Flyers draft 2023?
Fantastic. Like I said, in these moments, you're right. This is a 5-year process. This isn't the NFL where some of these guys are going to step onto the field next year. Most of these guys, almost every one of these guys to a man, is going to go back to where they were playing last year and continue the process, either overseas in Sweden or in college or in any one of these secondary leagues before they jump to the AHL. From our perspective, 8 out of the last 10 drafts, Matvei Michkov is the number 1 overall pick. Besides Connor Bedard and besides Connor McDavid, he is the number 1 overall pick of the last. He's the 3rd best player of the last decade, in my opinion. A lot of people share that opinion. He's the kind of guy who comes in here, he can score 100+ points per season. And in the NHL now, we see with Colorado and Tampa, you don't win unless you have stars.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest takeaways we took from night 1 of the draft is just outside of Connor Bedard. Yes, Michkov is the best player of the draft. They, regularly described him as the 2nd best player coming out of the draft. Why did he slide to number 7? You would have thought that he would have been and this draft has been heavily talked about as one of the deepest that really anybody can. Anyone could remember, and anywhere from 2 to 5 outside of Bedard could be a generational talent. What makes Michkov fall to number 7? Is it the fact that he wasn't invited, or I should just say Russian players in general weren't invited to a lot of these tournaments because of whatever's going on over there, just not enough eyes on him, even though on paper they're calling him, 1A, 1B, best player in the draft. Like, in your opinion, what exactly are we missing that made him slip to number 7?
No, you got it. The truth is there's global impact of the war between Russia and Ukraine that's being felt far beyond the sports spectrum, but it's penetrating the sports spectrum. As we know from that Russian goalie who we selected last season, we're hoping he would eventually come over, and Russia pulls him aside and says, "Hey, you got to serve military service time before you get out of here." So they've faced this problem in the past, and the Philadelphia Russians have never really gotten along. You can go back to us whooping up on them in the 70s, but they've never. Ed Snyder hated the Russians. You know what I mean? But we're easing that Cold War a little bit. We're warming it up a little bit. But the reason
Rocky ended the Cold War in 1984.
We're about to bring it back. I got this weird feeling about the world we're in now. But no, the truth is he slipped to 7 because of the fact that it's going to take 2 to 3 years. There could be a chance that after 2 years in Russia, we buy out his contract with his Russian team. World relations have eased maybe, and he can come over a year early. But to me, he's a young kid. He's going to get that development, whether it would be here in the OHL or in the Quebec League. He would come here and he would still play in the minors to develop his talent. He's very raw. He's still, from the little footage we've been able to have because of the KHL rules, he's incredibly talented, but he's incredibly raw. He's also very small. I think he's something like 5'11" and 154 pounds. He's going to get eaten up. The truth is he's got to grow into his body. He's a boy and he's got to become a man. but he's got those raw skills that could truly be, like I said, a generational talent. And I believe when you look at him, that's Krill Kaprizov. That's a guy who can come in, he can score 40 goals, 50 goals if he's playing the right position. And the truth is, if you give the Philadelphia Flyers 3 years to build a much stronger farm system, a much stronger core, then you can bring in this ultra talented player who's also developed to the point where he can contribute in the NHL, and boom, you have a team that has depth. And that when we see the playoffs, it's depth. You need star power for sure, but the reason Colorado hasn't gotten back is because they have that top line, but nothing else. The reason we see Tampa continues to succeed is because they can run 3 lines at you with the third line scoring just as many points as your first line in some situations. So it's important for depth, and I think most teams in front of us were like Anaheim and San Jose and Phoenix. Phoenix is a train crash anyway. Arizona, whatever the hell they even call themselves. They're not going to take anybody that's a risk. But everybody else in that situation, they're not really looking for this fire sale rebuild that the Flyers are doing. The Flyers pretty much have said, and that's why you hire a bunch of faces that everybody can relate to and understand and enjoy, that they're not going to lie to us. The thing is with the process, Sam Hinkie kind of lied. Sam Hinkie was like, "Hey, we're gonna rebuild this, but it's," and then he comes out with, "We're like, oh,
So we might have lost you for a second there.
After 5 years, we're going to be good, and Mitchkov will be a huge part of that."
Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, the geopolitical stuff is one of the biggest reasons, but I believe the Flyers, the one point about knowing that you're going to be 3, 4, 5 years, definitely more than 4 or 5 year range, in the rebuild era is that's what gives us. That's the one good part about being this bad is that time is your best friend in this case. You're not worried about time. These other teams want to compete now; they don't want to wait. And you brought up familiar faces, and Joe and I made the joke about nepotism when you mentioned your brother-in-law, but I mean, Flyers are probably the kings of nepotism with former Flyers. A lot of people got a little, up in arms when they brought in some former Flyers. Again, I make the disagree with that because they're not the same Flyers.
They're stupid.
They're not the Broad Street Bullies. You know what I mean? They got past that. But they did draft that way a little bit. Oliver Bonk and Cole Knuble both had dads who played for a Flyer, especially the more Mike Knuble, the ones you know a little bit better.
Plus, how fun is it to say bonk,
right? And do you believe that's because they were former Flyers, or more because they have a better look at them because they're former Flyers kids?
First off, I honk if you bonk. That's the one I'm riding.
There you go.
It may be 3 years. It might be 3 years before I can put it on the actual bumper sticker, but that sticker will be on the car.
Patent pending. DJ Woodson, patent pending.
Oliver Bonk is like because he plays defense the right. He plays in both ends. He gets in the offensive rush and he gets unspectacular defense.
Hold on 1 second there, DJ. We're kind of losing. You're kind of going in and out a lot on us. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm actually outside. I'm outside now. I've walked outside because of the disturbance. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Oh, no problem.
Oliver Bonk is, yes, he's a second-generation player, but I think the same thing goes with Knuble. Those guys have been taught by their father and their people around them how to be an NHL player. Like, they're not learning how to be an NHL player. They're perfecting how to be an NHL player. Like, their dad knows all the struggles, and he's putting it on them. Oliver Bonk is absolutely a stud. He doesn't do anything. He's like an offensive lineman. You won't hear his name very much, but that's a good thing.
Now, you mentioned a few times that the Flyers are about 3 to 5 years away, in which I think we are all on the same page about. Are you a little bit surprised that there weren't more trades during the draft or even before it? And I'm going to piggyback off that question is, with the draft, the Flyers selected 3 more goalies. So, I mean, does this kind of put the writing on the wall for Carter Hart at some point?
Well, in terms of the trades, I think that they definitely tried to trade a bunch of people and that everybody saw that they were trying to trade everybody, which brought down the value that they had. So essentially, they're saying, hey, we're having this fire sale. Everybody called, you're interested. Everybody called lowballing them, and they're not going to accept that stuff. They had to accept it with Kevin Hayes because, simply put, he wasn't going to be here. Him and Tortorella don't have a good relationship,
Right.
and they're trying to build a team that they're trying to build a team that sucks hard but plays hard. So essentially, what you're doing is, if you suck hard, you're going to get those top picks. But if you play hard, you're going to figure out like the Ronnie Atard, the Cam York kind of guys, the kind of guys who are going to stay around for this rebuild and be part and contribute to the next part of it in 3 to 5 years. Now, in terms of, what was your other question about the draft? I'm sorry.
I was saying, with the Flyers selecting 3 additional goalies in the draft, do you think that this kind of puts a time limit on Carter Hart and what they could get in exchange for him?
I don't think I think more than anything, the investigation into the World Junior Classic Team Canada thing is truly what is holding all of this up.
Yeah.
I don't believe just find generational talent at goaltending through the draft. You have to kind of luck into it.
Sure.
He's a second round pick, and you see some of these guys that sits around. Generate him unless you get.
Yeah, we're losing you again there, PJ.
I'm not cursing. I'm out. I can't go anywhere outside.
It's not the FCC. They're not blanking you out. I know that. Go ahead, bud.
No, the long story short, I think that we had a lot of organizational lack of depth at goaltending, and it's more about just replenishing that. And we got a lot of value with those goaltenders. The first Bjarnason, he was the best goaltender in North America last year. So I mean, in all the developmental. So we got him. It was a third round, second round. I think he stuck back into the second round to sneak him in.
Yeah,
I think that's a great pick.
Yeah,
and the guy from Russia. So we're good. We're doing good. We stacked depth, which is what we lacked goaltending.
So another question about the draft for you. And a guy I'm kind of weirdly excited about is the last pick in the draft, and that's Matteo Mann, who I'm dubbing Matteo Grande, because he's 6'6" and 220 plus pounds. Can a man skate? Like, I mean, is he just too big for hockey? Is he just a guy to say sit there and, like they said, they're replenishing from the blue line out, which I get, but I just feel like they replenished the blue line with one person. Is he like? Do you think he could live up to the hype, and why would he go so late if he's that big and can be talented at the same time?
I remember what they say during the draft. When they see a man with full beard during the draft, they say he's done growing. So I think that this is they picked a grown ass man in the 7th round, and I think with that, I think he's just a body. I don't think he's going to be a generational talent. I think he, if lucky, he might be like a Radko Gudas kind of guy if he meets the ceiling. But I just think I wrote down. I'm looking at my draft sheet right now. I wrote in quotes Slapshot next to him because he looks like a character who would play in that second league who just beats the hell out of everybody. Well, and honestly, maybe in 3 years he's who protects Bitchkov. Maybe he's just a body who's like, if you touch him, I will touch you.
Yeah, I mean, he's had 5 assists and 52 penalty minutes in 45 games. Like,
yeah,
he's
got a role. He's got a role. He's a penalty killer. You know what I mean? He's gonna body check Sidney Crosby and then take the fist fight from whoever wants it
and his soul. But I mean, and that's the other thing is like, it seems like when the Flyers, and tell me I'm wrong or not, but when they try to make a change, they try to make a right-hand turn, a 90-degree turn, like real hard. And they went from, being bullies, and if you're going to win, you're going to earn it, to trying to keep up with the younger, faster generation and adding speed. But then it feels like they're kind of, for the first time in a long time, finding that middle ground, I guess. It's been like finding big monstrous guys, but at the same time, finding some speed and quote unquote generational talent. Am I seeing that right, or is it just I'm crazy?
I think the NHL has changed drastically over the last couple of years. When we see Colorado, they drafted speed, like you said, but one thing they drafted as well is toughness. McKinnon is a tough guy. He doesn't get pushed off the puck. When you see it with Las Vegas has a lot of guys who are tough on the puck. They don't turn it over. And I think what you're seeing now is there's speed is important, finesse is still important, but I think there's a return to basic hockey, fundamental hockey, that is kind of a part of the resurgence of it. You see the team Dallas, you see some of the teams Florida. They're not sexy, in the sense that they're all up and down the ice and they're flashy with their passes. It's defense breeds offense, and in a way, I think that's the more entertaining hockey. Not 6-7, but also not 2-1 like the old Jersey Devil style. It's you're going to win 3-2, you're going to win 4-2, you're going to win 4-3, and I think with a good goaltender, really stellar defense, and the stellar defense that opens up the offense, I think that's key in the modern NHL. And I think that's what they kind of are looking at. And you got a good, like Danny Briere, he's a smart guy. He gets the NHL today. And I think that we had Hextall, who was trying something that, he was trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It was never going to fit here. So, and then Chuck Fletcher didn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. So you're rebuilding. It's like when the Sixers had to rebuild after the Elton Brand signed Horford and all these suck ass picks. And you're like, you spend the next 3 years undoing the job that the other people did. And I feel like that's kind of what Briere is doing now.
What are your opinion, or what is your opinion on Tortorella? Did you like the hiring when it happened? Did you think it was, just a year too soon? And I feel like John Tortorella kind of put the pedal to the metal on trying to win these games last year instead of tanking. I just don't see Tortorella as that type of coach. Do you think that it was just a year too soon for a type of coach like that? And do you think he'll be good for molding the youth that we do have in here now?
No, I when we hired Tortorella, I thought it was a bad pick because Chuck Fletcher is an idiot, and he was giving Chuck. They were giving him a bunch of veterans who were not going to listen to him. It was never going to work with the guys he had here. You have to have guys who buy into his system wholeheartedly to make it work. Now, I think the reason it worked, he was making them play hard last year. And in the NHL, if you were to tank on purpose and it was looking like it was on purpose, they will penalize you. I still believe the draft is completely rigged. So
I've been saying it since day one.
Over when that comes time for that, for sure. So to me, I feel like Tortorella was brought in here to keep them playing hard. So even if they slipped and like quote unquote tanked for this year, they were still hard. Because you're gonna find these guys who come up and come down who are here to play tough, and if they're not here to play tough, they're not going to last here. And if they don't last here when it's hard, when it gets good, they're not going to be good players. So my hope is a guy like Cam York. Cam York's a great example. I hope Cam York and John Tortorella to be better, and we find out, hey, Cam York is a real player. So when these other guys, Mitchkov starts coming over, and you get all these Cutter Gauthier coming up, you have a defenseman the level that can support those, that can feed the puck out of the, get the puck into the offensive zone, get the puck into scoring, so these players can make plays. And I think it's that he possibly develop their talent.
Okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I want to pick your brain on another huge event that is coming to Philadelphia at the Link next April 6th and 7th. I want to believe the 2-night affair of WWE's quote unquote Super Bowl, I guess you can call it. And for the second time, it's coming to Philadelphia. I mean, you make your living, covering this stuff. Number one, how excited are you for this? And number two, do you think that this could open up more opportunities for WrestleMania to come back here?
Number one, I think eventually, I'll answer the second question first. In terms of Philadelphia, if it does rain, then maybe. Rains, Vince, he's never coming back. He's doing dome. I'm still wild about that they're even doing that.
Yeah.
Because the dome factor. I know but cities like Orlando don't get rain as often.
Yeah, in LA.
In April. Philadelphia in April, you're betting your ass that something might go. I mean, you got snow.
I was going to say you got a snowstorm.
Yeah, I like I said, you're going to have Shane McMahon coming back for his third, and he's going to slip on some ice and tear another quad. It's going to be. The truth is, I think that the All-Star game for the MLB, we're getting World Cup games.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is fantastic, and I don't need Vince McMahon to tell me that Philadelphia is fantastic. I know it already. And if he never comes back again, that's his 40. I feel like Philadelphia is the perfect crowd for that. They're going to tear the house down for this. We got a bunch of hardcore fans who've been dying to see wrestling on this level, this magnitude, in a building this size. We're going to fill it up. We're going to fucking cheer like nobody's business, and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be. I'm very, very excited for the idea of just the spectacle being here.
You got to stop holding back next time. Really tell us how you feel.
I'm sorry. I just like I said, I've loved wrestling since I was a little kid, and if you look size for your like I wear a Stone Cold shirt and I still get scoffed at. It's like I'm a grown ass man. Do not talk to me. This is 315
hold on.
ITTA. It says what that.
Are you wearing the jorts?
No. I said no.
You gotta wear the jorts. You might as well go all in.
No. I didn't say I was Stone Cold. I was saying I was wearing the shirt. No.
No, but I'm saying I wear the jorts with the shirt. It's kind of like a pair.
No. I am wearing the knee braces though, but that's because I'm weak physically.
Yeah, coincidentally enough, I actually signed up for hopefully the pre-sales today. I don't know if it was just today that they started it, but it was today that I saw it and I signed up. But I know you have a little bit of a possible in for some tickets, so hopefully we'll be watching WrestleMania together.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know where it stands on that, but like I said, the dude told me we have 2 tickets left out of everything. So the 2 we bought, we're getting a suite for 2 nights, and I'm pretty sure we're down to 2 tickets left.
Wow,
out of the whole both nights.
All right, then I'll buy nosebleeds and you sneak me in. Yeah. That's just how that's going to play out.
Listen, I don't know how it's going to work, but I will try to drop down tickets on some sort of a assembly system down to you, and then you and 2 people can come up. We'll fill that box. It only holds 29, but we'll get 69 in there.
Sounds good. All right, DJ, we really want to we want to thank you, and just thank you for coming on for the show. And I mean, you're welcome on anytime you want. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Listening to you talk about the Flyers, I had no idea that you knew that much about the Flyers. It's funny. It's like it's weird because all of us have been Flyers fans for so long, but I just feel like over the past 2 or 3 seasons, we've all checked out on them. And now we're excited for the direction that the team's going. So we're starting to dive back in. But it sounds like you have really done your homework on these draft picks and some of the other things that are going on around with the team.
Well, I loved the process. I know a lot of people hated the process and whether it worked or whatever they say. I'm a Tony Rotten guy. I like that era of basketball because it's like I could watch. I knew we were going to lose, and if we won, it was like, yo, did you see what we did? We're fucking 1-15 now. Right. This is the best. So yeah, I think the Flyers version of the process is, again, I like the Flyers. Again, one of my first memories is '97. Us getting swept by the Red Wings. It's like it not only introduces you to a team and your love for that team, it also introduces you to the Philly way, which is getting kicked in the junk as soon as you're excited about something.
Absolutely. And I think that's why people don't like the process, is because it has been a kick in the junk and we're just dragging it along at this point.
Yeah, I mean that was the one thing about
if
the
it
process.
Worked, we'd all love
it or you hated it.
No, if it worked now, you'd be like, oh, it was a good idea.
Of course.
But it hasn't worked. So
I mean, if Embiid wasn't a choke artist, we would probably have a title. If James Harden could take the ball and pass it before there's 3 seconds left on the shot clock, we might have a championship this year. Who knows? We were better than Miami, probably better than Denver.
Yeah.
We'll find. I guess we'll never know now. But
no,
DJ,
we're not better because our guys are cowards and they came up as small as possible. I mean that's it sucks to know that, it sucks to feel that, but that's your Sixers right there.
No disagreement here. But DJ, once again, gotta get you in studio with us one day. And guys, check out Ring Rust Radio. I get all your podcasts. I know we listen to it all the time. And like I said, and you said you're writing for the Inquirer.
Yeah, I'm doing editing, and I'm going to try to sneak in the back door doing some writing when they're not looking.
All right, all right, DJ. Thanks again, man.
Hey, I appreciate it. Listen, I love the show. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to me. I very much appreciate it. Love the show. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Thank you.
Take it easy, buddy.
All right, guys. That show was brought to you by David R. Cherry, cherryinjurylaw.com, 610-565-0300. You get hurt at work, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, criminal law, you name it. Dave will fight for your rights. It's David R. Cherry at 610-565-0300 or cherryinjurylaw.com. Guys, right now, just an update. It's still 8-4, top of the ninth, with 1 out. Phillies are batting right now, so hopefully they can either tackle on some more or just hold on to this 4-run lead at the most and shut it out and take this series already and hopefully go for the sweep in Tampa.
That'd be awesome.
Guys, also don't forget here at EoP, even though it's a holiday week, we're busy. We've been busy. There's plenty of stuff going on. Sixers Summer League post games, all the Phillies post games, plus all the regular shows. You can see tonight, Wednesday night, is busy as it is, and it's only going to get busier as the week goes on. So check it out. All the great lineups from and for a couple changes, Talking Philly Sports with Matty B is on tomorrow night because, of course, yesterday was the holiday. And then the rest of it is coming up from Steel Steps, Birds at a Round Table, Patterson Ave, and PM in the AM, and all across all the time. But all right, Joe, you want to shift gears? You want to go in? We talked Flyers, we talked Phillies a little bit. You want to go into our Sixers talk?
I want to say one more thing about the Phillies.
Shoot.
You know what I'm really getting sick of?
What's this?
6:40 starts.
No,
I can't stand them. Not only because
that 20 minutes makes a difference to you, huh?
To me, it
25,
does.
I guess.
To me, it does. Not only because it screws up everyone's timing with traffic and getting down there.
Mhm.
I've been to 2 or 3 6:40 games, and I haven't been inside yet for the start of it because you're stuck in traffic. There's still work traffic going on.
Sure.
I mean, a majority of people get out of work at 5:30. What happens if you have to go home and get your kid? That takes 15, 20 minutes, half hour. Then you have to get down and you're walking in, second, third inning.
True.
Tonight, I get done at 5:30. I come down. It's time for dinner, bath time, everything. I'm forgetting the game's even on. It's 7:30 before I even turn it on. I mean,
I can see what you're talking about. I guess.
And by the way, it's 7:05, so it's 25 minutes
That's
difference.
why I said 25.
Oh, okay.
I said 20. I guess 25. I don't know how I feel about it because there's good and bad with it for me.
Even with the pitch clock, the game's already fast enough.
True. I wouldn't be a hell bent against keeping it at the 7:05. So the 40 minutes does. I guess when I'm going down there, I would like a 7:05 start.
Yeah.
But at home, I don't mind the 6:40 start. Does that make sense?
I mean, yes, but
I'm just ignoring my family when they come on.
But,
So.
But when you have kids, like you said, you have 4, I have 2, and I mean, you have to do your parental duties when you're done work. Like I can't just be like, okay, you guys fend for yourself, and then get kicked in the head by the wife because I have the Phillies on. My other stuff has to get done.
That's why I lock them in the closet.
I mean, we have to watch these games to know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think that's where it comes in. Here a couple things. Like for instance, this is the second year we're doing the Fighting's Final here at EoP.
Yeah,
and when they did West Coast games, Matty B would do them in the morning.
Right.
Like when you woke up, maybe around 10, 11 a.m.
Sure.
He would do it. Now we get done early enough. We're like, we might as well do it. It's 12 o'clock. We can do 12:30. We can do one. So again, it's hit or miss. But I with the 25-minute start, if it made people happier, I'd be okay with a 7:05 start. It works for me either way.
Wow. Okay.
Ian's breaking news for us here. 76ers sign Mo Bamba.
So does that mean Paul Reed is not coming back?
Could mean that. Maybe he thinks he's going to get more money or more.
Or is Mo Bamba the replacement for Montrezl Harrell?
Well, Joe, I could be the replacement for Montrezl Harrell.
All I'm saying is Montrezl Harrell was also a backup center. I mean, It doesn't automatically mean that Paul Reed, a backup center, is out. But
I wonder if this means that they're going to be moving him more to that forward spot.
Yeah, I don't know. And the funny thing is I heard this on the radio the other day, and I was like, wow, that makes actually so much sense. The way that Embiid wants to be out on the perimeter all the time, playing like a guard, you might be able to have Paul Reed in there playing in the paint. Like, it may just work out. It might be the craziest thing, but it may just work out.
Are you just about to say Joel Embiid is our new point guard?
It's possible. That's what he wants to be anyway.
James Harden gets traded. By the way, I don't want to say I was right, but I'm right. James Harden's not going anywhere, and Tobias Harris is not going anywhere. It's not happening. They are running this back again. Maybe they'll make some changes.
I might be out on this team, man.
Well, why wouldn't anybody be? I mean, it's the whole definition of insanity. We use it on EoP all the time, and you expect something different.
Like everybody, all the Twitter stuff came out yesterday about Michael Rubin's white party, and Joel is there, Tobias is there, James Harden's there. James Harden was seen talking to Josh Harris. I don't think it means anything, but then it could. I mean, what do I know, really? I cannot get on board with them running back this exact team. Okay, they signed Mo Bamba and they just signed Patrick Beverley, and I absolutely love the Patrick Beverly signing. But it
I
almost,
like it. I
but
don't
it
know if I
almost
love it.
seems like that is a move to try and keep James Harden here because they're former players, teammates, and because they are friends. And it seems like such a move to try and get James Harden to stay. That I love the Pat Beverly move. I cannot take James Harden, and oh my god, it's so hard to actually do like a 180 on this because I remember sitting at my kitchen table listening to the Fanatic when the trade went down. I don't know if I was more happy that Ben Simmons was out of here or the fact that we had James Harden, a legit quote unquote superstar or former superstar, to come in here and get this team over the hump and get to an Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, I don't know which one it is, but now I'm so to the point of I'm okay with James Harden moving on, getting traded, whatever it is, because I guess one of the reasons because I know Tobias Harris will be here. And like I said before, if James Harden stays here, I'd rather Tobias Harris gets traded. We need to see something different. Can you imagine if this team runs it back and then they start off the same way that they started off last season? I mean, the fan base will be so depleted at that point.
If this team runs it back, and the same thing happens again, which most likely will at most second round knockout. My thing is, all right, of course, the conversation nationally and everything's been Dame time. What's going to happen with Dame Lillard?
Right.
Dame Lillard wants to go to Miami, but maybe Miami won't have as much to offer them as they want a Tyrese Maxey type situation. So before I get into kind of go take a long way home with you on this one, Joe, would you send Tyrese Maxey for 33-year-old Dame Lillard?
Again, this is one I've been so back and forth on as well. I think I would because I know the prime window, I guess you can say the peak of Embiid's career, if this season wasn't it at its peak with the MVP, we know that it's going to be on a decline very soon. So if you're looking at Joel Embiid being here playing, MVP type basketball for the next 2 or 3 years, well, then maybe Dame Lillard is the guy that you need to get in here because Maxey is still developing. He is still very young. He is still trying to fit into what his role as an NBA player is going to be. Do we have enough time in Embiid's, Sixer career to wait for Maxey to get to his top potential? So, I mean, if it does mean trading, and I hate to say it, if it comes down to trading Maxey for Dame Lillard, I think I would. The only reason I am very much on the other side of it saying, no, you can't do it is because Dame Lillard doesn't want to come here. So why would you trade your biggest asset, your biggest, chip for a player who doesn't even want to be here?
Well, that's why I asked the question, because bringing the whole thing back around to the original part of the conversation was, I think this year, by not either way, you're pushing your chips in one way or the other, because you push your chips in and you trade and you get Dame in here and maybe keep Harden. Can you do both?
I don't think you can do both.
I don't think you could do both, but whatever. But maybe move Harden, get some role pieces around.
Well, they both need the ball in their hands, so there's no way you could keep both.
Yeah, so you roll. Maybe if you can move on from Harden, maybe to keep Tobias, but move on from Harden, get some role players for him, because obviously there's no market out there for him.
No,
and Tobias. That's why I'm saying it. It's not because they want to keep these guys. I think there's just no market out there for them. But
especially Harden, I think that there could be one for Tobias because it is, the last year on his contract. He does. I mean, he gets a lot of slack. I mean, he's not that bad of a player.
No,
I think one of the things is like it's the contract, and I still think it's a bit of a head scratcher of how is he on his 6th team already? Is he just not a fit for any team?
I wonder, Joe, if we have 3 players, 3 main guys, 3 highest paid players, let's say that for right now, not because that means not Tyrese Maxey, who choke in big moments. I mean, he won the MVP for the season, not for the playoffs.
No.
He, by the way, update guys, Phillies won 8-4. They win the series in Tampa. They could possibly go for the sweep tomorrow, and they extend their win streak to an 11 road game win streak.
That's right.
So
the franchise record is 13.
So they would need to win tomorrow and then win
the
Marlins first one. And then if they can go and win the first 2, then they would actually break the record. Because that's my thing is like
7 games up.
Like that, or if you do keep Maxey and do run it back, I guess because there's no. My thing is and the guy next to me has talked about a lot. Maybe we should get him on a mic here so he can get in here. Go around to where Pat sits over there on Sundays for me. And I want to bring this up because Mike Laro he's talked about this a lot, but it's the Joel Embiid thing, and I've been on the fence on this one, man. What to do with Joel because, and I'm going to turn his mic up at number 2. And
well, before we jump into that, I do want to say one more thing about the Maxey thing. They're saying he is absolutely untouchable, which I don't think is very wrong. I mean, number one, because if it's a smokescreen and you say he's untouchable, somebody's going to come, with such a haul that it's almost, it's a no-brainer to trade him. But if it is true, and you have Harden coming back, and you're bringing all the, and Tobias back, is that stunting the growth of Tyrese Maxey? Like if this is the guy you want to be, your A1 day one with Joel Embiid, then with James Harden playing iso ball, what is Maxey's role?
So that's what brings this up here for me. If you're going to, I feel like pick one. Not trade Tyrese and build around him, but you can't do that with Embiid.
Right.
You can't do that with Harden. Like you should just trade them all, get whatever you can get, and move on. And just build around and we get the retool versus rebuild. Because you should be able, with all three of those guys, get some really decent players on this team.
I hope.
And maybe a couple draft picks. And that's my point. Is like,
but when the rumored trade for James Harden to the Clippers is like Norman Powell, it's like
different story. Different story. But my fear is, and this is where I'm bringing Mike in on this because we've talked about this a lot, is if we have the same type of season next year, good regular season, get into the playoffs, second round knockout, whatever it is, it turns out to be. I think he's gone. I think Embiid's gone. So if that's going to happen, and at that point, now Embiid's trade value has gone down to we know he doesn't want to be here, so we are not paying that kind of money. Mike, I know you've been the first one to say you think it was time. Do you still believe it's time to trade?
Yeah, he should have been traded yesterday. And I haven't, and I know I've caught a lot of flack from a lot of people on this network for saying it, but like I've been saying, you can't have it both ways. You can't sit there and pump him up and say he's the MVP of the league and this and that you're not going to get nothing back for him.
As far as I'm concerned, the MVP is the guy who's the best player in the regular season because they give it out for the regular season. It has nothing to do with your playoff run.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't sit there and say, well, we're not going to get what we want in return from him. Yes, you can. If he's the reigning MVP, you have that at your disposal right now. And I think the Sixers could get a boatload for him.
Oh, I think you get a boatload. Even next year, to a point, you can do a King's Rant. But I think, here's my other question. Joe, let me ask you this. Same thing. Joel Embiid happens again. Not just a second round knockout, but he has some sort of weird injury.
Oh, Jesus.
His foot hurts again, which is a constant thing, especially for a guy his size, for the way he moves, or he busts his shoulder, or his knee, whatever it is. I mean, does his trade value drop at that point?
Oh, 100%.
But like
100%.
A big drop, little drop, what kind of drop we talking?
It's off a cliff.
Okay.
Because we were talking about after this exit, trading Joel Embiid. So was
that more anger or was that more truth?
It was definitely both. Okay. But my eyes kind of opened this season and in the playoffs with Joel Embiid, not only because of the injuries, and it just seems like he's always injured when it comes to the playoffs, but I'm watching him go up and down the court. He doesn't hustle. He is one of the last guys up and down the court. Once the play is being ran, he doesn't play the position the way it should be played. He's always at the top of the key. He wants to play, outside shooting threes for whatever reason and not down on the block, getting in the paint and manhandling these guys. I mean, there's something off about his game. And I can't sit here and pound the table about it because he was the MVP of the league. He was the scoring champ for the past 2 seasons. So it's almost like, am I the one who's insane by thinking that there are that many flaws in his game and that I have opened my eyes to all this and being on the edge of wanting to trade him, not even needing to because they have to start things over. I'm talking about wanting to trade him because I don't know what else you can do with this team to try and improve it.
All right. Before we move forward, I remind you guys, it's brought to you by PhillySportsTrips.com. as you can see, there's always fun stuff going on. The Phillies are hot right now, playing very well. And speaking of, you can go out to Pittsburgh. The next trip they have coming up is at the end of this month, July 28th to the 31st at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Great park if you've never been there before. I know, like, Pittsburgh, oh, that's so exciting. It really is a cool
Beautiful.
park. Go out there and enjoy. And the Pirates are behind us in the standings, but we want to keep putting pressure on the guys behind us as well as the ones in front of us. But go out there. It is a great trip. It is a great time. And it's great people at phillysportstrips.com. They also have the San Diego trip coming up in September, as well as all the away trips for the Eagles coming up. Go there, phillysportstrips.com, and tell them that EoP sent you. Joe, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I think there's one night Fred's probably at home, like throwing his phone across the room. It's like, I should have been there to yell at these guys. I get it. Like, yeah, you look at him being how great of a player he is. I kind of wonder if him and James Harden are in the same boat. Good players, really good players, all-star caliber players, but not so much when it counts. That's where I worry.
Well, hasn't James Harden had this like stigma, his entire career?
Well, they kept thinking like, all right, well, if we have a really good, a phenomenal player in Joel Embiid, and we get him connected with James Harden, it'll help James get over the hump and help Embiid get over that hump. Together, they'll be humping each other. No, that's not how I was going about it. But my point is like that's the thought process. But
they thought that too in Oklahoma City too when they had Durant and Westbrook too also with them. So yeah, this dude, I don't know, man. To be honest with you, I want to see Harden I would love to see them do like a 3-way deal and try to get Zach LaVine in here. I think Zach LaVine would help this team a lot more than having James Harden.
I do too.
Well, I mean, Zach LaVine is definitely. How about Dame over?
No, I don't want Dame. Dame's a good player, but one, he don't want to be here. Two, he's kind of
get over that. I mean, it's not his choice when it comes to.
I thought he would have too, considering what was it last year? I think it was, or the beginning of this year. They were chanting his name at the Wells Fargo Center.
During an interview, he said, "Yeah, it was kind of nice with everybody really
showing him love.
He's showing me love. Yeah,
he is like really, shown love for Joel Embiid and hyped that type of connection going. I'm a little surprised that I mean, what is it? Top 3 that he had? Of course, Miami is number 1. I don't even think the Sixers were in his thought process.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like me personally, like, I would push more towards Zach LaVine. I really do. I really think you could get him here. It's not going to cost you that much, and I think he can.
He's a gamer.
That too. Like he's the kind of dude. Like if he has the ball in his hands, like he's gonna try to rip their hearts out.
Mm-hmm.
So he has. So again, I don't know if it's going to cost you less. He's younger. I mean, he'll be 31 when his player option comes up.
LaVine?
Yeah, in 26.
He's making a lot of money. I know that.
Well, that's the thing is, he's a cap hit this year alone. He's 37 million.
Right.
Next year, he's 40 to 43 to 46 to 49, almost. So that's
insane.
I mean, it's like Bradley Beal-esque. I would rather have LaVine over Bradley Beal any day of the week. I was never big on the Bradley Beal thing. Especially for his contract. I think the Suns were nuts for what they did with that.
Well, the Suns are just pushing. They're pushing all their chips in. Like they were kind of mad that they.
I honestly kind of thought that would have been a landing spot for Harden. They were the only thing they didn't have was a point guard.
Right.
So like you can put on there and make kind of a super team that Brooklyn didn't build.
I'm kind of still in the boat of bringing Chris Paul here. I don't know.
What's it going to cost you though?
Well, not much. I mean, it would probably be for James Harden.
I'm good.
Well, they released Chris Paul, didn't they?
They might have.
He's a free agent.
Oh, all right.
I wouldn't bring him here. You'd have him and Embiid and Harden all sharing time in the.
Oh well, no, I would not bring him here with Harden.
Yeah,
I would. All right, I know what you're saying. So you would have had him if Harden leaves.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, listen, if Harden leaves,
well.
but I guess to me, if you bring in Chris Paul when Harden leaves, that means either you got really a good player in a different position, or you got a couple role players and you still need that point guard or that guard to work with Tyrese Maxey. Because I think Tyrese is almost there. I mean, Tyrese is only 22 years old. But the other question is, Joe, don't they have to, isn't this last year his contract? Don't they have to sign him too?
Next year.
Maxey, 2 years, I believe.
Is it 2 years? Okay, I thought they were talking about signing him. this year.
Well, no, I think this is the same thing that they did with Ben Simmons. You can give him a rookie extension.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you don't have to max him.
Right.
Gotcha.
And as far as that goes, everything I've heard and read is the Sixers kind of without just saying it, flat out, they've kind of, led everyone to believe that Maxey is not getting an extension this year.
No, it says club exercised on the Sports Track club option exercise. He's only costing us less than $3 million this year.
Yeah, and I think, and Fred always talks about this too. I mean, the cap, with Tobias being off the books after this year, Harden being off the books if he's not traded, that gives you between $70 and $80 million. So that that next offseason opens up so much more money and makes so much more sense for them to extend Tyrese Maxey. Then
it's over 70, definitely. But that's my question. This is where the whole stars aligning thing. This is where it gets muddy, because if you run it back this year, and I think if everything was Squaresville and you didn't have to worry about Embiid leaving or just not being 100% after this year, then I wouldn't care. All right, fine. This is kind of a lost cause year. See what you can do with what you have, and then work forward. But because you will open up just with those two alone, you're going to open up $70+ million, and then you can really start to build around them. And I think next year you actually have a draft pick too.
Yes, they do.
But again, with that being said, that isn't where the stars align, because we don't know where Joel's head's going to be. I said to you guys a while ago, before they even lost, I was like, if they don't win it this year and they don't make some big moves and make Joel happy, I think he's out of here by the end of the next season.
Yeah, and that was my biggest thing. We were talking before, James Harden picked up his player option. I was saying last week, if God forbid he opted out or they extended him in some type of way, and they have a mediocre, same type of result, season this year, and then Embiid wants out, and then you're stuck here with James Harden because Tobias Harris is gone as well, and Maxey needs his money. Like, can you imagine this team going forward for the next 2, 3, 4 years with only James Harden? The thing that
there was no way
up at night.
There was no way they were signing for no 4-year contract.
Of course, right? Well, it was the next day we found out it was, hey, opting in for 35.5, and they were going to work on a trade, and then we went out and celebrated.
Yeah, but
he's still here for whatever reason.
The second they said they were going to trade him, I'm like, Daryl Morey overvalues his players, like way overvalues his players.
From what I heard, he was asking for Tobias. It was
like a top tier player, a first round pick, and
I think it was like 3 first round picks.
Yeah, it was like something ridiculous. Like
there were 5 pieces to the trade.
Did you see Tobias's comment? He said 76ers fan would trade him for a cheesesteak.
Nah, a crumble cookie.
Crumble cookie, which he owns stock in.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was plugging himself while he was getting lambasted by the fan base. But I mean, I always feel like this is like, I feel like we should just have this on recording or like a little disclaimer we put at the bottom of the screen. I really do like Tobias Harris, but it's his contract because
his name always comes with a but.
Yeah.
But and like you said, that but comes in not just because of the contract, but is he, you point out he's been with a lot of different teams in a short amount of time. Is he just not the guy that's going to do that? He's a good role player.
Well, if you ask him, he is.
Well, his dad says he's a freaking assassin. There's nobody better than him in the league.
That's right.
And LeBron turned his head and said, "What?" Like. But I mean,
now that I'll agree with. Tobias is definitely better than LeBron.
Listen, my point is he is not the best.
No.
Is he a starter in the NBA?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
And to be honest with you, we may just be putting too much on the shoulders of Tobias Harris, because if you look at the starting 5, you can arguably say he's the 4th option.
Well, all right.
So what are we expecting out of a 4th option?
So is it just the culture?
I think you're right there, Joe, on that one.
Is it the culture of this team, this organization? Because you got your big man, who's supposed to be your superstar, turtles. You got this other superstar that comes in, he turtles. Tobias turtles. The only one who actually scored any points and did anything worthwhile in the last halves of 6 and 7 were Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
And PJ Tucker.
And, yeah.
Tucker shot pretty nicely.
But you know what though? Like
The Anthony Melton had that really hot half of a game.
yeah, I mean, but you know what though? You really can't kill Tobias Harris though. Tobias Harris was there. He had like one bad game throughout the whole playoffs. Like that dude's
bad game, but he's also had a couple.
But I'm also okay with trading.
Yeah, but it's because of his. It's because if you're
I
trading,
really don't care about the contract anymore. There's 1 year left of it.
It's not the contract. It's what the contract would bring because you have to do some matching. With
Yeah,
$37 million, you can get a couple players or a really good player for that.
Yeah, but the other team who just has so much money that they need to spend, they can trade for him and then just buy him out.
Sure.
So I mean, regardless, even if you trade him, he could still end up a free agent,
True that. That's a good point.
and then you could sign him back.
No,
I
actually,
know. I'm kidding. I
Isn't
know.
it like the LeBron rule? Did they do that with
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
1 year? And they changed the rule then.
Yeah, I was totally kidding.
All right, man. Anything else you guys want to add in before we head out?
I just wanted the Mo Bamba. Yeah, they did sign him as of today. 1 year deal for the league minimum. I actually really like this signing.
How old is Mo Bamba?
He's not very old.
Really?
Yeah, let me. I'm on his Wikipedia right now. Shout out Wikipedia. He's only 25 years old.
Oh, really? You got him for the league minimum?
Yeah, I guess he wasn't getting any intriguing offers, I guess.
I really guess not. Like that seems for a 25-year-old. That sounds like you just suck. I'm sorry. Last year he had 49 games. He scored 6.6 points a game, 4.6 rebounds, and 0.9 assists.
It's better stats than Montrezl Harrell. There we go. He is the replacement for Montrezl Harrell.
He is 48.5% field goal percentage shooter.
He's
and
7 foot tall.
38% free throw.
You never know, man. I mean, a lot of these guys. I mean, he's only 25 years old.
66% free throws.
Some guys, we say this a lot. They just need a change of scenery, and Nick Nurse might be able to get the most out of this guy.
Yeah, maybe Nick liked him. I don't know. Maybe
that's the only saving grace I have for the Sixers this year is that they got a real coach.
Yeah,
a guy who makes in-game adjustments. I was never a big Doc fan.
Well, with that being said, I mean Nick Nurse. The difference between Nick and the last two coaches, where the other two were more players coaches, I think it's like they've been ramping up. Like Brett Brown was really like Mr. Nicey Nice with everybody, and kumbaya.
He's Ben Simmons' godfather.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then you had Doc Rivers, who's still players coach, a little tougher on them, not enough in my eyes, and in the wrong way. Then you get this guy who's apparently like the guy getting in your face, let you know when you.
Yeah, I mean,
will sit you even if you're the star player.
We posted something today. It was Pat Beverly said on his own podcast, the Pat Bev podcast. It was Doc.
All these players have their own podcast. You know, it's bad enough. We're sitting here trying to make our own bones.
Well, he is the person who broke the news of him signing with the Sixers. He posted it. It wasn't the Sixers. It wasn't Woj. It wasn't Shams. It was Patrick Beverly saying that I am taking my talents to Philadelphia.
Is that what
paraphrasing, not his exact words? But is
that
probably
now they're going to
probably
you're going to just do that?
But apparently it was Doc Rivers who told Pat Beverly, "Hey, I think you'll love Philadelphia. This team would have been different last year if you were on it." And he did say, he said, "You, Joel, and James would really play well together." So maybe he knows a little bit something about James Harden coming back. Because it was brought up to me on our Facebook earlier that Doc Rivers is absolutely still on the Sixers payroll.
Yeah, because he hasn't got a job.
Yeah.
They got to pay him. They got to pay him.
Right.
God, Kyle Schwarber went over 6 tonight.
I'm okay with it. They won 8-4. I don't even care.
Yeah, as long as they won, I really don't care at this point.
That's a lot of hits.
Yeah. And that's a good team.
Very good team.
You gotta love it. But speaking of, the Fightins final will be coming up very shortly. I know they're going to be doing a watch party on the other end of the network for the Sixers game, and then of course the post game show. So a lot's still coming.
9 o'clock start, right?
Yep. Yeah. So you got a lot. That's a lot of stuff going on here right now on EoP. So enjoy it. Tomorrow, I'll bring up this one more time. So it's probably when we end. I think is it Matty B tonight who's doing the post game show? I forget. It's either Pat doing it.
Yeah, my partner.
Yes, PM and AM, of course, Sunday mornings with Pat and Mike. I'm just producing. And don't forget, like I said, we have the Sixers post watch party, the post game for it, as well as the Fightins final coming up. And tomorrow, special time for the Talking Philly Sports with Matty B. The Attacking Third, they have a great interview coming up, as well as another Fightins final. I believe that's me tomorrow. And I got to really write these down. And And of course, the Sixers post game as well. Friday brings you Birds at the Round Table. The Steel Steps, another Fighting's final. Saturday, Patterson Adam with another Fighting's final. PM in the AM, all across all the time, and another Fighting's final. And plenty of articles and other social media posts and everything else. If you can't find it on EoP, you ain't looking, buddy. Hate to break it to you. Other than that, thanks to DJ Wood for joining us tonight. Hopefully, we'll be hearing a lot more from him in the coming future. Other than that, I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Sheeran.
Later, guys.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?